Beloved Derech alumni and Derech families, thank you for once again allowing me into your hearts and into your living rooms. We share the horror and grief and mourning of the civilized world following the tragic loss of life in Buffalo and more recently in southern Texas. The Almighty should comfort those who suffered losses and should bring a speedy recovery to those who are injured. This week's parsha is Bechukosai. In Bechukosai, we hear the admonition, the reproach, the curse, the rebuke, the tochacha, which Moshe Rabbeinu articulates to Bnei Yisrael, the terrible things which will come upon Bnei Yisrael if they leave the mitzvos and abandon the Torah. There are two types of losses. One is a hopeless loss of either Rahman al-Islam, God forbid, a loss of life, or a loss of a commodity in which there's no hope of getting it back. A second type of loss might be considered similar to misplacing something or dropping something, and there's hope that it will be recovered, either through the good graces of someone who finds it, or the person himself will come upon it, perhaps in a drawer, perhaps in a jacket, perhaps in the street. It happens to us. There's the hopeless loss and the loss of hoping that there will be a chance to recover it. One of the significant factors in having hope that something will be recovered is that there is a siman. There is some sort of evidence, there is some sort of a sign, there's some sort of a marking on that which was lost, which will help us, which will help the person who finds it, recover it, and bring it back to its proper owner. Perhaps the wallet has a card in it with the name. Perhaps the keychain has an address on it. Perhaps an envelope has an address on it. It's not hopelessly lost because there is a siman, because there is some sort of a marking which identifies it. Towards the end of the Tochacha, we have a pasuk which tells us, pasuk Lamed says, "Va'avadtem bagoyim," you will be lost among the nations. You will be lost among the nations. Is this a hopeless loss? Or is this a loss in which there's some twinkle or hope of actually recovering it? Are we going to be hopelessly lost, va'avadtem bagoyim, or will we not be lost completely? Even though we are in Golus, even though we are in the diaspora, perhaps there will be an opportunity to come back to the Lord and to the land. What will be critical if there is a siman? During the past 60 years, I have become aware that there are three elements of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, which even the furthest from traditional Judaism have a tendency to observe. There are mezuzah, Brit Milah, and Seder Pesach. A family which does not observe Shabbos Rahman al-Islam, which does not observe Kashrus Rahman al-Islam, which doesn't even go to shul in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that family might have a mezuzah, which is derisively called by the Goyim a Jew box. They will have a bris, a circumcision, and they will have a Seder Pesach. These are simanim. Even though Bnei Yisrael are lost among the Goyim, if they maintain these simanim, if they maintain the mezuzah, they maintain the bris milah, they continue to have the tradition of Seder Pesach, these simanim means that they are not hopelessly lost. If you know a family that is so distant and remote from halacha Judaism, from our tradition, but they have a mezuzah, they observe bris milah, they have the Seder Pesach, be aware that there is hope for them. Try your best to be mekayeh of them. Try your best to bring them closer to more and more traditions and laws and ceremonies of our people. Va'avadtem bagoyim, you'll be lost among the goyim. But as long as there's a siman, As long as there is a sign, it is not hopeless. There is hope for a return. Let us all bear this in mind when we see families that have strayed from our tradition, but they maintain the simanim. Cultivate that and try to bring them back little by little. Explain to them, you've got the mezuzah, you observe Bris Milah, you have the Seder Leil Pesach. Maybe one more thing, maybe even say the 6 words, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, twice a day. We are not hopelessly lost. There are simanim. And as long as there are simanim, there is hope and aspiration that we will be returned. I wish you all, with the greatest love, a good Shabbos, and I thank you for allowing me to be with you. Uncle Yushl loves you.